Wanted to thank Sir Togi for giving me a tour of his amazing vehicle loadout. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And we're gonna go through this, and I apologize for the stutters, but in his words, he started with about 50 frames, and he ended up getting around in the teens, like 15 to 20 FPS, plus the stuttering effect. Uh, and it basically is just a massive amount of ground vehicles that in his collection. So when we're talking about ground vehicles in the new hangars in 3.24 PTU, we can see everything can fit. You have Spartan down the end there. You have an immense amount of cyclones of different types, like the Cyclone AA, the traditional cyclones, the turreted cyclones of different types, the racing cyclones slash recons, and then you have additional Spartans. And interesting side note, Toji told me that uh, basically he had two, maybe even three vehicles that fell through the floor, and he kind of treats these as all like his cherished little family of ground vehicles. So he was a little distraught about this. And there's ballistas and centurions all just hanging out on the side, and this opens up insane types of weird gameplay mechanics if the system that kicks people out of a hangar doesn't work right. Like, could you wait for the hangar doors to open and then hot drop a ballista and a centurion inside and cause all sorts of havoc in only a few seconds? And then, obviously, I don't encourage that, but the Storm AAs, which are extremely rare, most people got the Storm with the turret, and then you have your turreted traditional Storms. And I gotta say that aside from and then the Nova tanks, aside from making the Tumbril company very happy, I think that one of the things that this shows is how versatile the new system is, and when you push it to its absolute limits, it is incredible. Now, Toji managed to pull this all off because he was spawning these inside his hangar, and what we found out on the latest 3.24 PTU build over the weekend is if you choose Orison as your home, where you just go to Orison, you can spawn ground vehicles comfortably inside the hangar, one after another. And there still is obviously a little bit of logistics of planning out where they're all going to go and park and such, and the obvious frame rate issues if you go a little bit overboard. But for most people, it shouldn't be too big of an issue. It really shouldn't. Another thing to note is that Toji said that his elevator eventually broke, or just wouldn't let anything else come in. And I wanted to thank him because as members of the community, like Toji, that are from the pipeline and our Star Citizen discords, that truly makes this place pretty dang cool. This community really cool. And I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. And I have a few others from the community and work I've done myself that we're gonna build into right now. So let's just dive in. Now, before I go into the other work I've done that me and Toast did of testing our own stuff out, I wanted to show these shots. Lover Sauna posted this on Reddit, and it shows them and their friends' work assembling a C2 Herc. And I think this one's kind of a really important one. You'll see a close up in a second of showing exactly the scale and size, if this is allowed to continue, of snapping chairs into cargo grids. Now, as a reminder, this isn't going to like relinquish the needs of hot drops, but this other shot that it's going to come in just a moment, showing a C1 with these nicer chairs is an example, I think, of more practical things. Black Shadow 972 posted on Reddit. And I think this is more what people should be thinking of, because when you see those military style Crusader, there's a Drake version of the chair that somebody posted with a cat as well. Um, you've got to remember that there needs to be storage of the weapon systems. So the people will need suit lockers for the heavier armors, and then especially and then weapons on their back. They need to put them somewhere. Then they can sit down. So especially in a chair that's designed for like Atmo work and things like dropping in from outer space to Atmo or vice versa with higher G forces, especially, like when you're dropping on a location at high speeds and higher G forces. So just keep that in the back of your mind that don't go melting or CCUing out of your drop ships until like we get a little more firm idea of where these impacts are going to be. But I have to acknowledge they exist. And also, I did not see these photos before we started experimenting in a couple sessions to get the our style. And I'll show you mine in a minute that kind of shows more of a Genesis Starliner in an M2.
This just madness down here. I still can't. It's just getting worse and worse over time.
Yeah, I think that elevator is just broke. Like, I don't think the retaliator modules were ever supposed to be able to be brought up in the cargo elevator. And I don't own a retaliator. I don't know why I have those modules.
All right, I'm gonna do these one at a time. There's only like three of them.
Okay.
Okay, first one coming up, workbench.
Okay. Okay, so I can move this, but I can't.
This one back here.
Okay.
And if it gives you an error code, just let me know what it says.
Mass exceeded.
So the workbench can't even be moved by the SRV.
Yeah, it says mass succeeded, but force sufficient.
It's a weird error.
Yeah. It's almost like it doesn't even see it. Like, it doesn't highlight at all.
Yeah. All right, next one coming up. It's a
Okay.
cot. Try the
Mass
scroll wheel
exceeded.
too. When you scroll up and stuff, it still does the same thing.
Yep, mass exceeded.
I can even see the beam like pointing right at the device. It's kind of like passing over it.
Weird.
Well, it was worth a try. Those two would have been the most straightforward for them to.
And it says mass exceeded with this.
Yes.
Uh,
So that's the towel, and if you notice, it's supposed to be free. It's supposed to be floating on a wall
yeah.
because it goes in the same spot a poster normally does. And then the other thing is a lamp, and that lamp is rather famous that little lamp, somebody went and found the real world version of that, very close to that lamp, and they sent one to CIG down in Texas, I think it was, and they put it on their show. So when it was Wingman's Hangar back in the day, they had the lamp from the game from a
Huh.
fan, and then a fan made group got so excited about all this, they went and made a like the cult of the lamp or something, and it's still around to this day. It's like an organization devoted to lamp.
I feel like I've seen this lamp in real life.
In the very early days, they were just trying to get like stuff, so a lot of their things were inspired by other things. So in the shot you just saw, there was testing of rare items, and they still can't even be moved with the SRV or the Tier 2 handheld tractor beam, well, two-handed tractor beam as some people call it, or the one-hand tractor beam as some people call it, the Tier 1 tractor beam. There is, simply put, some things that are working really well with the new system, and some legacy items that are just not. You can see here that if you're on an appropriate cargo grid, the Hartwell 88G piano, for example, actually works really well. And the new chairs, you can rotate them with the R key. You can kind of manipulate them so they can point any of four different directions, which is quite nice because if you're going to spend, say, even a short trip transiting a small planetary body area, it's going to be really uncomfortable sitting there facing the wrong direction, or should I call it a planetary system. And honestly, assembling these is quite fun. Now, one of the things that's less fun is having to kind of create like a workflow to kind of work through these. And there's no carts or anything yet. I would love, love to have one of those floating hover container grids and be able to spawn the items on it already inside the hangar, inside the warehouse elevator. So what I'm standing in right now is the warehouse elevator. There are two of these, and I've found that on the medium size hangar and on the XL, there's two, which is a nice touch. So if you glitch out one, you don't have to sweat it. You can just go to the other one and work it out. And as you saw earlier in the video, there was a cautionary tale about retaliator modules, for example, that can glitch out the elevator because it doesn't know how to re-accept the items sometimes, and instead of, you can't clear them, you can't move them, you can't put an SRV even in to pull them out. So yeah. One of the things that I did notice that's very useful is remembering to bring the ship to the items as much as practical. And this is a little bit further along, but you'll be able to see in various stages of this design work, you can manipulate the chairs, move them around, pick and choose the style of the tables with the chairs. You can get as creative as your heart's content and your energy level is, to be honest. They're really cheap. They're a few thousand UEC. It's no big deal when you get to ships of this size and capability. And smaller ships as well can fit them no problem. As you saw the picture earlier of the C1, is a nice touch. And oh, by the way, the Hartwell ADHE, I put it at the front of the M2, basically just blocking off, I thought blocking off the front roll on, roll off ramp. But in fact, especially the Cyclones have no problem navigating these clip down chairs and even the piano and table. Well, the tables are a little buggy right now, but everything else clips in just fine. And the vehicles don't mind one bit, especially ones with good amount of travel in them. You can drive over the chairs. So it gets a little weird sometimes. But the idea is that I created like what would I do as like a Genesis Starliner replacement, and obviously not a combat geared one or anything like that. That there was ideas of and whatnot, but it's some the Starliner originally was pitched as a modular transit of people and cargo. And kind of like a dual purpose, mainly focused towards people. And there's different like classes. So there's like the equivalent of like a first class, business class, economy class. And I was trying to concept that as like, how can I make it nice for everybody, but have like different sections? And I kind of went more with an entertainment concept of like, there's like a games room, there's a performance area at the front, and then there's the long tables for like food and later on you'll see dice and other crazy things like maybe a kill casino or something silly like that. So you have a huge palette to work with. The bigger your cargo grids are, the more space you have to work with. And do remember, you want to have at least some room for personnel to navigate. So if this is live, you don't want to like trap people in chairs. They're not going to be your friends aren't going to be very happy if they get stuck, even if it's just for the lulz or something. They're going to be upset with you if like things go completely wrong because they're trapped in a chair. If like the ship soft deaths or something and they're stuck or something weird like that, who knows? Leave space between everything, give people room to navigate. Think of storage needs. So, if you're going to put people in chairs, if there's a weapon locker right nearby for weapons and utility gear, it's probably a good idea to start with that and think through that pretty carefully. You'll see that some of these tables do clip in, but then they snap in place and they kind of wiggle away if they get messed with. Once again, the tables are a little weird, which is unfortunate because that's where you'd want to put all your small stuff. Because if you don't have weapons lockers or you just don't want to use them, you could, in theory, put utility gear in cases and such on top of the tables. And that would be a neat little concept. It is the future, after all, right? But yeah, anyway, I think I've showed enough video of me just trying to build out this space. The point is that yes, it is as incredible as the pictures show. It is easy to do. The two-hand tractor, honestly, I really don't think it did much for me other than just it seemed like the distance it could throw things was really, really nice. It keeps strength way further than the one-hand tractor beam. So it seemed like that was the biggest thing, and I do appreciate that. So I would recommend picking one up. And remember, you can always get those at any of the stations with a cargo deck in most cases. And in particular, the best place to get them is the cargo decks at stations that support large planetary landing locations. So if you're taking off from New Babbage, you go up to the station right above you, and you hit Bajini Point, and bam, you've got yourself a wonderful, wonderful tractor beam. Now, they are a little more expensive than the traditional multi-tool with just the attachment, but it is worth having, especially when you're in the safety of your own hangar. If you die, you appear in the hospital and it's back in your inventory, all the gear that you quote lost end quote when you died. So don't sweat it. Additionally, we still have to test some things. So Toast noted that when they found things, so she found things to pick up, and she noted that it was a little weird. Basically, things that shouldn't be hers, if she picked them up and placed them in her items, then went upstairs and put them in the cargo storage, basically the ATMs for cargo stuff, the cargo storage kiosks, then it kind of became part of her inventory. I think that's a glitch. But we'll see. And it might not be a glitch. It just needs to be fixed so like things are marked as like stolen or borrowed or whatever you want to call it, based on your affiliation with the other person. So if they're a party member, you don't want to like get them in trouble just because they picked up some spare ammo or something. But if they picked up like something extremely expensive and they didn't tell you, then I think the game should give you an option to like, hey, by the way, so and so took that. Do you want to pursue that or not? Additionally, inside a hangar, it's kind of an all or nothing. If they're in your party, they can kind of do everything you can do, other than really open the doors. Although that kind of glitched out really hard when we were playing. And I'm going to jump to that because I think that's a really important topic. And once again, it's great to test with a group. I want to give A Side of Toast Games a wonderful nod here. As always, please, please, please check out her content because right now she's doing a lot of radio shows, which are really fun to listen to while you're playing the game. And they're actually in lore. They're at the top of my page, but you can go straight to hers and check them out from there. But yeah, they're just there to give her a nod. And I love collaborating with the community.
Take
and
off.
Good friends.
It gave me a gateway slot, and then the M2 disappeared out of existence, and it phased me into the floor, and now I'm running around.
Really?
Oh my god, it just
telling the ATC I wanted to leave in the M2 has procced the system. The elevator is going into the floor.
With like all of the chairs and stuff.
Everything. Everything just went under the floor.
Is it smart enough to put that back in inventory?
We're gonna find out, I guess.
ATC told me I can leave and my hangar doors are not opening.
Because you're in a gateway system. So you are in the equivalent of an instance. My doors are opening, so I'm guessing you are waiting for my doors to reclose and then you can exit.
Oh. Okay, now I understand. So like I'm 8th person in line.
Yeah, basically all the old heads pick New Babbage. It's like the least buggy place, and we have the least negative memories had. So now we're all stuck begging for the same slots from ATC.
See, this is why you go to Area 18. Nobody
Sure.
goes to Area 18. Actually, nobody goes to Lorville. That's not true. People go to Lorville because it's very centrally located. Yeah, nobody goes to Area 18.
My doors are closing.
Okay. Where's the A18 love?
No.
If I touch down, will they open?
Okay. So the Argo SRV has spawned,
Okay.
and there is so much stuff missing. That was on the elevator.
Okay, so all the furniture despawned.
I'm gonna go check in the freight elevator queue.
If I contact ATC again, will it tell me my place in the queue?
Spoiler, she did eventually get out. And that's part of the thing is the gateway system is going to be a big shock to a lot of players, especially people that are running solo. I think multi-crew for obvious reasons, if it's just one person trying to leave, it's not that big of a deal. But if it's like a group of friends, all separate in their own ships, you're just going to add to the limit of the gateway. Hopefully, there's more gateways that are added for each location, but there is only so many doors on a system. So, New Babbage Interstellar Spaceport, the system that is put in place is done like through the traditional ATCs of a planetary landing location. So it tends to be a lot, but it's not infinite number of locations. And it is possible that the gateways are just a little buggy due to being the PTU running a little slow. But there's a lot going on with the doors above you, the doors below you, so to speak, with the elevator for the ASOP terminals delivering ships. There's a lot of things that are interesting. One thing that was suggested by a couple people now is they prefer to deploy their ASOP upstairs before they even get on the elevator to their own hangar to speed up the process. And that's probably not a bad idea. Just to take one more component out of your time, and then you get that gateway kind of timing started that much quicker. So there's a lot of experimental stuff. As a reminder, 3.24 is still in PTU. It is still gonna be at least probably I would say a dozen builds from going to live, and I hope more waves come in soon. So if you don't already have access, slowly more and more folks can enjoy it, have a good time. Don't forget to report your issues in the issue council and in the feedback threads on Spectrum. This is one of those where it really can make a huge difference, especially because there's more and more of us kind of getting to enjoy it. And yeah, I want to thank everybody who is taking part in this process. 3.24 has really been a very exciting time already. And that's all I got. Okay. All right. Everybody who's still here that didn't click away already. I've got a little funny thing. It's just for the laughs. I didn't think it deserved its own video, but check this out.
Your vehicle has been delivered to the following location. Please visit us again.